The first thing he noticed was the shoes. Black, polished, expensive, and they were not his. His breath froze in his throat. Under the bed, hidden in the darkness, his entire world collapsed in complete silence. Before we go any further, I want to know something real quick. Where are you watching from right now? Drop your city in the comments. And if you love powerful, emotional stories like this, don't forget to subscribe to Grown Tales, because this one will stay with you. His name was Daniel Coffey, 32 years old, self-made, calm, respected, the kind of man people trusted without asking questions. To the outside world, Daniel had everything. A thriving logistics company in Douala, a newly built house in Yaoundé, a wedding coming up in just 5 days, and most importantly, he had her, Vanessa, the woman he believed was his destiny. Daniel wasn't born into wealth. He grew up in a single-room house with his mother, a tailor who worked until her fingers bled just to keep food on the table. His father? Gone before Daniel could even remember his face. So Daniel learned early. Nothing in life was given. Everything had to be earned. And he earned it step by step, failure by failure, until he became the man everyone admired. But success has a way of blinding even the smartest people, especially when love is involved. He met Vanessa 3 years earlier at a charity event. She walked into the room like she owned the air, elegant, confident, untouchable. And when their eyes met, Daniel was done. She wasn't just beautiful, she was magnetic. The kind of woman who made other women feel invisible and made men forget their own names. She told him she worked in fashion marketing, came from a modest background, independent, strong, everything Daniel admired, everything he thought he needed. Their love story moved fast, too fast. But Daniel didn't question it, because for the first time in his life, something felt easy. No struggle, no fight, just happiness, or at least what he thought was happiness. But there were signs, small ones, the kind you ignore when your heart is louder than your instincts, like how Vanessa never liked talking about her past, or how she always stepped out to take certain phone calls, or the way she sometimes looked at Daniel, not with love, but with calculation, cold measuring, as if she was constantly asking herself a silent question. Is he still worth it? 2 months before the wedding, Daniel surprised her with the house, a fully furnished, modern home in one of the most expensive neighborhoods in Yaoundé. Vanessa cried when she saw it, held him tightly, whispered, "You've given me everything." Daniel believed her, every word. But what he didn't know was that the moment she stepped into that house, she wasn't thinking about building a life with him. She was thinking about something else entirely, something darker. 3 days before the wedding, Daniel returned early from a business trip. He hadn't told Vanessa. He wanted to surprise her, maybe take her out, maybe spend the night talking about their future. He imagined her smile, her laughter, the way she would run into his arms. But when he arrived, something felt off. The gate was slightly open, the lights inside were dim, and the house was too quiet. He stepped in slowly, his heart beating faster with every step. "Vanessa?" he called. No answer. But then he heard it, a faint sound upstairs, in the bedroom. At first, he thought nothing of it. Maybe she was watching something. Maybe she was on a call. But then he heard a voice, a male voice. Daniel froze. His brain refused to process it. It didn't make sense. It couldn't make sense. Not here. Not in his house. Not 3 days before their wedding. His feet moved before his mind could catch up. Slowly, silently, up the stairs, each step heavier than the last. The bedroom door was slightly open, and what he heard next shattered something inside him forever. A laugh. Her laugh. Soft. Intimate. The kind of laugh she only gave him. Or at least, that's what he believed. Daniel's hand trembled on the door. Every instinct screamed at him to walk away, to leave, to pretend he never heard anything. But he couldn't. He needed to know the truth, no matter how much it hurt. He pushed the door open, just enough to see inside. And that's when his world ended. Vanessa stood in the middle of the room, wearing the dress he bought her, the one she said she'd save for their honeymoon. But she wasn't alone. A man stood behind her, tall, confident, his hands resting on her waist like they belonged there, like she belonged to him. Daniel's chest tightened. His vision blurred. His entire body went cold. But what happened next was even worse. Vanessa turned slightly, and for a brief second, their eyes met. Time stopped. Everything stopped. Daniel expected shock, fear, guilt, anything. But instead, she smiled, not at him, at the man behind her. And in that moment, Daniel understood something terrifying. She wasn't surprised to see him, because she hadn't seen him at all. He wasn't standing in the doorway. He wasn't confronting her. He wasn't shouting. Because somehow, without even realizing how, Daniel had already stepped back, already hidden, already disappeared. Instinct, survival, or maybe fear. He moved quietly, desperately, until he found himself under the bed, lying there, heart pounding, breath shallow, trapped in the shadows, as the woman he was about to marry brought another man into their bed. Above him, the mattress creaked. Soft whispers filled the room, words he couldn't fully hear. But he didn't need to, because the truth was already clear. Everything he believed, everything he built, everything he loved was a lie. But then, as Daniel lay there in silence, something unexpected happened. The man spoke, and what he said changed everything. "Are you sure he doesn't suspect anything?" the man asked. Vanessa laughed softly. Cold, confident, dangerous. "Daniel," she said, "please, that man would trust me even if I set his world on fire." Daniel's fingers clenched into fists. Tears burned in his eyes, but he didn't move. He couldn't, because something told him there was more, much more. And then Vanessa said the one sentence that made his blood run ice cold. "After the wedding," she whispered, "everything he owns becomes mine." Daniel stopped breathing. The man chuckled. Then what? A pause, a long, chilling pause. And then Vanessa leaned closer to him and whispered something so dark, so unforgivable, that Daniel felt his entire soul crack in half. "Then we make sure he disappears." Silence. Heavy, deadly, unreal. Under the bed, Daniel's eyes widened in horror. His heart slammed violently against his chest. Not just betrayal, not just cheating. This was something else. This was a plan, and he was the target. Up above, Vanessa laughed again. carefree, as if she had just discussed dinner plans. Daniel lay there, completely still, because now he understood the truth. The woman he loved was not just unfaithful, she was dangerous, and if he made a single wrong move, he might not live long enough to regret it. But then the man asked one final question. What if he finds out before the wedding? Vanessa didn't hesitate, not even for a second. Her answer came like a blade slicing through the dark. Then we handle it early. Daniel's heart stopped because in that moment a floorboard creaked beneath him, and above everything went silent. She heard it. The silence above him was louder than any scream. Daniel didn't breathe. He couldn't. Every instinct in his body locked him in place, frozen under the bed like prey hiding from a predator. "Did you hear that?" the man asked. His voice was sharp now, alert, dangerous. Vanessa didn't answer immediately. Daniel could hear the faint shift of her weight on the mattress, the soft creak of wood, the subtle movement of someone listening carefully, calculating. Seconds stretched into something unbearable. Daniel's heart pounded so violently he was sure it echoed through the floor. Then Vanessa exhaled softly. "Relax," she said. "It's an old house. It makes noises." Daniel closed his eyes, not in relief, but in disbelief. She didn't suspect him. Not yet. But the man wasn't convinced. "I don't like it," he muttered. "Check it." Daniel's entire body tensed. No, 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 no. He pressed himself flat against the floor, his fingers digging into the carpet as if he could disappear into it. Above him, movement, the sound of feet touching the ground. Vanessa was getting off the bed. Daniel's mind raced. There was nowhere to go, nowhere to hide. If she bent down, if she looked under, everything would be over. Her footsteps came closer, slow, deliberate. Daniel's chest tightened. His lungs burned. His body screamed for air, but he held it in. And then she stopped, right beside the bed, right above him. For a moment, there was nothing. No sound, no movement, just the crushing weight of possibility. Then a phone rang, sharp, sudden, loud. Vanessa sighed in irritation. "Seriously," she muttered, stepping away. Daniel almost collapsed from the inside. "Don't answer it," the man said. But Vanessa had already picked it up. Daniel could hear the change in her tone instantly. Soft, sweet, fake. "Hello, my love," she said. Daniel's eyes snapped open. It was him. It was his ringtone. She was talking to him, lying just a few feet above him, while he lay hidden beneath her feet. "I miss you," she continued gently. "When are you coming back?" Daniel felt something shift inside him. Not just pain, not just anger. Clarity. For the first time since walking into that house, his mind became completely still. He understood everything now. This wasn't just betrayal. It was a setup, a calculated, carefully executed plan to take everything from him and erase him afterward. And if he stayed silent, if he remained the same trusting blind man he had been, he would die. Vanessa ended the call with a soft laugh. "He still has no idea," she said. The man chuckled. "Perfect." But Daniel wasn't listening anymore, because in that moment, something inside him broke, and something else was born. That night, Daniel didn't confront them. He didn't move. He didn't make a sound. He waited, listened, learned. He heard Everything, every plan, every detail, every lie. By the time the man left, Daniel was no longer the same person who had walked into that house. He was colder, sharper, awake. Vanessa eventually fell asleep, peacefully, comfortably, as if she hadn't just planned someone's death. Daniel waited another hour. Then slowly, carefully, he slid out from under the bed. He stood there for a long moment, looking at her, the woman he had loved, the woman he had trusted, the woman who had just signed his death sentence. And for a brief second, he felt nothing. No anger, no sadness, no pain, just emptiness. Then he turned and walked out. The next morning, Vanessa woke up to breakfast in bed. Daniel stood there with a smile, calm, warm, unchanged. Good morning, he said. She smiled back, completely unaware. Good morning, baby, she replied. And just like that, the game began. Over the next 3 days, Daniel became the perfect fiancé, more attentive, more loving, more generous than ever before. He took Vanessa shopping, bought her expensive gifts, even transferred a large sum of money into her account for the wedding. Vanessa was thrilled. "This is everything I ever wanted," she told her friend over the phone. "I hit the jackpot." Daniel heard it all, because now he was watching, listening, tracking every move, every message, every secret. He found the man. His name was Eric, a businessman with a reputation for shady deals and quiet disappearances. Daniel didn't confront him, not yet. Instead, he prepared, carefully, patiently, because if they wanted a game, he would give them one. But he would be the one writing the ending. The wedding day arrived. A grand event, luxury, elegance, hundreds of guests. Vanessa looked stunning, like a queen walking toward her throne. Daniel stood at the altar, calm, composed, smiling. No one could see it, but behind that smile was something else, something dangerous. The ceremony began. "Do you, Daniel Coffey, take Vanessa?" "Wait!" The voice cut through the air like a blade. Gasps filled the room. Daniel raised his hand slowly. "I have something to say," he said. Vanessa's smile flickered, just for a second. "What is this?" she whispered. Daniel turned to face the guests, then back to her. And then he reached into his pocket, pulled out his phone, and pressed play. The room filled with sound. Her voice, clear, undeniable. "After the wedding, everything he owns becomes mine." The crowd froze. Vanessa's face drained of color. Then we make sure he disappears. Screams, whispers, shock. The entire room erupted. Vanessa staggered back. No, this isn't. But Daniel wasn't finished. He turned the screen toward everyone. Messages, photos, proof. Every lie, every betrayal, every plan, exposed. Publicly, completely, irreversibly. Eric tried to leave, but security blocked him. Vanessa fell to her knees, crying, begging, "Daniel, please, I can explain." But Daniel just looked at her, cold, unreadable. "No," he said quietly, "you can't." Days later, everything collapsed around her. Her accounts? Frozen. The money Daniel transferred? Marked, traced, reversed. Her reputation? Destroyed. Eric? Arrested. Linked to multiple crimes Daniel had quietly reported. And Vanessa? She lost everything. including the one thing she thought she controlled. Daniel, months later. Daniel stood on the balcony of a new property. Larger, stronger, untouchable. A friend joined him. "You ever regret not just walking away quietly?" he asked. Daniel smiled faintly. "No," he said. "Some people don't learn from silence." He looked out at the city, calm, at peace. They learn when everything they built on lies burns in front of them. Trust is powerful, but blind trust can be dangerous. Not everyone who smiles with you wants to see you win. And sometimes the greatest revenge is not destruction. It's survival and walking away with everything they tried to steal. If this story moved you, you already know what to do. Stay with Grown Tales, because some stories are not just told. They are felt